In a climate-controlled vault at Yale sits a book no living person can read. 240 pages of goatskin vellum covered edge to edge in a flowing script. For 600 years, every codebreaker and cracking machine that tried has walked away beaten. And no one can agree whether it says anything at all. "240 pages of soft calfskin. A looping script that runs left to right in a steady, confident hand. No crossings out, no hesitation, as if copied from something older. Around the words, bloom plants that grow in no garden, and stars gathered into constellations no astronomer has ever named."
It was during one of my periodic visits that I came across a most remarkable collection of preciously illuminated manuscripts.
Voynich spent the rest of his life trying to prove the book was written by the medieval genius Roger Bacon. He believed a masterpiece of lost science lay locked inside. He died in 1930 with the pages as silent as the day he found them. The book left a paper trail across 4 centuries and 2 continents, from the court of a Habsburg emperor in Prague, to a Jesuit scholar in Rome, to a hilltop villa near Frascati, to a dealer's shelf in London, and finally across the Atlantic to a vault in Connecticut. The trail begins with Rudolf II, Holy Roman Emperor, who filled his castle with astronomers, alchemists, and frauds. Legend says he paid a fortune for the book, 600 gold ducats, enough to buy a country estate for a volume nobody could read.
Dr. Raphael told me the book had belonged to Emperor Rudolf, who presented 600 gold ducats to whoever brought it.
Our oldest hard evidence is a letter tucked inside the book itself, written in 1665 by a Prague scholar to the famous Jesuit polymath Athanasius Kircher. Kircher was the greatest decipherer of his age. He had cracked Egyptian symbols and Coptic scripts, or claimed to. The book was sent to him precisely because if anyone alive could read it, he could. Kircher, too, left no answer behind.
It is not unreasonable to suppose that some man of quality took it into Eastern lands and brought back this treasure of hidden knowledge in unknown characters.
For 250 years after that, the book vanished into a Jesuit library, forgotten. When it surfaced again in 1912, the modern age of science was certain it could succeed where the medievals had failed. It was wrong. Its root reads like a rumor, from Rudolf's Prague to the alchemists of Bohemia, south to Kircher's Rome, where Jesuits hid it for 200 years. Then to Wilfrid Voynich, and finally across the Atlantic to a climate-controlled vault in Connecticut. Turn the pages and the book divides itself into sections. First come the plants, more than 100 of them, painted in careful color. Botanists have combed every leaf and root. Almost none of them match a plant that has ever grown on this planet. A modern scholar summed up the frustration of every expert who has stared into these diagrams. The strangest section comes next. Dozens of small naked women bathing in interconnected pools and pipes that snake across the page like plumbing or veins. Scholars call it the biological section. What it depicts, no one can say. The plants and stars sent researchers searching the real world for a match. Some pointed east to the trade routes of Asia. Others insisted the flora belonged to the New World, to Mexico. But the vellum would later prove the book was made before Columbus ever sailed. One of the 20th century's finest cryptographers spent years on it and admitted defeat with unusual honesty.
The Voynich Manuscript could be a sophisticated hoax, generated using techniques that were available at the time.
But the gibberish theory had a problem. Real gibberish is random. The Voynich text is not. Its words obey hidden rules. Certain characters appear only at the start of words. others only at the end. The structure is too disciplined, too consistent, to be noise scattered by a slotted card. Researchers gave the script a name, Voynich. It runs left to right, flows smoothly, and uses between 20 and 30 distinct characters. The hand is confident. No crossings out, no hesitations. Whoever wrote this wrote it fluently, as if they knew exactly what they were saying. Then the statisticians arrived, and the mystery deepened. Real languages obey hidden mathematical laws in how often words repeat. They ran the numbers on Voynich, and it passed the test. The word frequencies behave like a genuine language. This should not be possible for gibberish. But the same analysis threw up something no known language does.
The same word may appear 3 times in a row. Certain words occur only at the beginnings of lines, others only at the ends. No natural human language behaves in quite this way.
A language that follows the deep laws of speech, yet breaks the surface rules of every tongue on Earth. It was a contradiction that drove one American scholar to a theory so bold it nearly ended his reputation. Newbold claimed the visible letters were meaningless. The true code, he said, hid in microscopic marks on the edge of each character. For a few years, the world believed him. Newspapers announced that a medieval friar had beaten Galileo to the telescope and the biologist to the cell. Then, a philologist named John Matthews Manley sat down to check the work. What he found ended the whole affair.
Newbold's claims are baseless and should be definitely and absolutely rejected. The shorthand characters he saw are natural products of the shrinkage of the ink as it dried.
Newbold had not read a lost language. He had read the aging of the ink itself and mistaken decay for a message. It was a warning to everyone who came after. And it raised a darker possibility. What if there was no message because someone built the book that way on purpose? In 2013, physicist Marcello Montemuro fed the whole manuscript through information theory algorithms. Meaningful words clustered in meaningful sections. Plant words among the plants, star words among the stars, exactly as real writing behaves. The signal was unmistakable, and it pointed away from a hoax.
The text is not random. There is a genuine linguistic structure that is very difficult to explain as a hoax.
Rugg's answer sent a shock through the field. His tool was the Cardan grille, a card with holes cut in it. Lay it over a table of invented syllables, and out comes strings of nonsense words that follow their own eerie rules. Rugg produced text that looked, statistically, like Voynich. No meaning, just the shape of meaning.
It turned out that over 80% of the words were in a Hebrew dictionary, but we did not know if they made sense together.
To settle the fight, the scientists stopped reading the words and started dating the object. In 2009, a team at the University of Arizona cut 4 slivers from the corners of the pages and fed them into a radiocarbon accelerator. The dating was decisive. The book could not be a modern forgery. It could not be Roger Bacon's, for he died a century too early. The ink was analyzed too, laid down on fresh vellum, in pigments consistent with the medieval world. Whatever this is, it is genuinely 600 years old. Someone, 6 centuries ago, sat down and filled 200 pages with a language that may have said nothing at all. So where was it made? The candidate spread across a map. Northern Italy, where the bathing scenes echo Renaissance spas. Central Europe, where its parchment style belongs. And, for the boldest theorists, the New World, home to those disputed flowers. With the object dated, the Codebreakers returned, now armed with artificial intelligence. Algorithms trained on hundreds of human languages were turned loose on the text. In 2018, one team announced the underlying language might be Hebrew, its letters scrambled and its vowels stripped away. Others pointed to a lost dialect of northern Italy, or a phonetic shorthand for spoken medicine. Each new method reads a few words, then stalls. The book gives up a syllable and takes back a sentence. In 2014, a linguist named Stephen Bax claimed to have read a handful of words, names of plants and stars, and offered a measured hope. Every year brings a new solution and a fresh headline. Extinct languages. Women's medicine written in code. Each is announced with confidence. Each is picked apart within weeks. No proposed reading has ever unlocked the next page. The book absorbs every key and stays shut. The best modern evidence points home to northern Italy in the early 1400s. The world of the vellum, the pigments, and the style of the little castles drawn in one diagram. Not the exotic East that dreamers imagined. Somewhere in these hills, a hand began to write. So which is it, a lost language or the most patient hoax ever committed to vellum? After a century of professors, spies, mathematicians, and machines, the honest answer is that we still do not know. Both remain possible. Neither can be proven. Perhaps that is the book's real achievement. It has outlasted every genius who swore they would break it. And it will likely outlast us too. Somewhere in a Yale vault, the pages wait, saying everything and nothing, in a voice we may never learn to hear. Some mysteries endure not because they are hidden, but because they refuse every answer we bring them. If this story drew you in, take a moment to like this film, share it with someone who loves an unsolved puzzle, and subscribe as we keep chasing the questions history left open.